Tarazza presents the Icon Blast Chiller. In this case, it's in the exclusive finish, and it has a capacity of 40 liters and an installation of 45. The frontal panel has the same height of all the other ovens on the collection, so it can be easily positioned horizontally together with a 60 oven. As far as the inside is concerned, it's a closed door, so you don't see the internal, because in the function that are usable with this type of machinery, you don't need the necessity to look inside. You have the temperature probe, which is really useful while selecting the function. As far as the functionality of the screen, it's really easy to use it, as it is basically like a phone, because you have just to scroll it to select your icon. As far as the general setting of this blast chiller, you have to press at the bottom left side, and you can select the brightness, the volume, the time, and of course the language. In this case we selected the English one, but it's easy to select it just by pressing the desired language. The blast chiller has 7 cold functions and 4 hot functions. Blast chilling is the function which gives the name to the machinery and helps you to bring the temperature of your food at a temperature of 3 degrees. So it's really useful while conserving your product or before storing the product, in order that no bacteria can develop. While selecting this function, you have to choose between using it by recipe or by core. If we go through by core, it tells you that you need to install the temperature probe, and then you can select different type of foods, for example between soaps, creams, pasta, rice, meat, fish, fruit and dessert. Then you select, for example, meat, then it asks you how is the composition of your food inserted, if it is whole, slice or pieces, and then it tells you that since the core probe is now at 20.6 degrees, you need a certain time to reach the 3 degrees at the core. If you don't remember what the functions gives you the possibility, you have just to press for some seconds at the correspondent icon, and you will read the description of the process. For example, in this case, blast chilling is a process that lowers food at a temperature to 3 degrees. With the core option, the duration of the cycle depends on the temperature inside the food, and then other things about the recipe option. Another important function of inside the cold function is the shock freezing. The shock freezing gives you the possibility to bring the food at minus 18 degrees. So, for example, if you want to freeze the amount of meat, for example, instead of putting it directly into a normal freeze, you use the blast chiller, and it helps you to reach the desired temperature, so the minus 18, in less time. As far as all the function is concerned, you have always to select between recipe or core. For example, if we select a recipe, you have to decide which type of food you want to bring at minus 18. And then you select, in this case I selected the icon which is called pasta and rice. Then I want to bring the lasagna. And then I have to tell the blast chiller the weight of my lasagna. And I said that it is 1 kilo. For sure, it asks you the initial temperature of your food, because it can be hot, for example, because you just finished to cook it in your oven, or if it is a room temperature. Then, for example, in this case, it is my lasagna was kept at room temperature, and I need just 2 hours and 17 minutes to bring my lasagna at minus 18. The pre-cooling function is useful if you want to cool something in a very quick time, and it's used without inserting food inside, so it's used with a camera free, and it helps the machinery to reach the minus temperature as possible. For example, in this case, it tells you that it needs 20 minutes to cool down your camera. Another cold function is the cooling, and the cooling gives you the possibility to cool down your food in less time than of course, leaving it in your room or placing it in the fridge, in the normal fridge. And it asks you the temperature you need, the maximum temperature you need to bring your food at, and how many minutes you have to bring this food at the desired temperature, and then the cycle will start. Another function of the cold function is the preservation. This function is really useful if you have, for example, some food that must be stored maybe in the fridge, or maybe you have to cook it, but you desire that instead of placing it in your fridge, maybe because you don't have enough space in the normal fridge, you place it inside, and it takes your food at a constant temperature of 0 degrees. Now it tells you, for example, in this case, that the machinery will work for 36 hours and 20 minutes, taking the product at 0 degrees. All the functions, when they are at the end, for example, in this case, at the ending of the 36 hours, if you don't take away your food inside, the machinery is really clever, because it will storage the food in any case for other time to maintain it. So this function is really important, because if you forget maybe to take outside, or maybe for some reason you are not at home at the end of the cycle, you are pretty sure that nothing is happening in your food, because no bacteria is developing. Another useful function is what we call beverage. And for example, imagine that you have people coming at the last minute visiting you, and you don't have anything fresh to serve them. You can select this function, which is beverage. You have the possibility to insert a maximum of 6 bottles, and then you tell the machinery how many times you have to wait for, and the machinery brings your drink cold 1 degree per minute. Another useful function as far as inside the cold function is concerned is what we call raw fish. Raw fish is really interesting due to the fact that it's becoming really popular, the eating of the sushi. With this machinery, you can also prepare your raw fish, so your sushi, because the fish is brought to a minimum temperature of minus 30 degrees for 24 hours and 20 minutes, which is exactly the time you need to let the Anasaki, which is one of the most dangerous bacteria, that this Anasaki will die. The Anasaki is really a dangerous bacteria, and you can let it die by bringing it at a temperature of minus 30 degrees for 24 hours, or by cooking it for a certain time at a certain temperature, a high temperature. So if you want to be pretty sure that you are eating your sushi without any troubles, you use this function. It will last 24 hours and then you will be able to eat your sushi without any troubles and problems. About the hot function, we can use, for example, the thawing, which is really interesting, because instead of using the microwaves as for a microwave oven, you use this function in the blast chiller, and you are pretty sure that you are not going to ruin, to damage the fibers of your food. You have always to select the type of food you want to thaw. For example, if it is a soup and cream, pasta, rice, meat, fish, or fruit, vegetables, and dessert. For example, we select meat. You have, of course, to tell him the composition of your meat, if it is a whole piece, if it is in slices, if it is in pieces. And then, of course, the weight of your food you want to thaw. And it tells you that you need, for example, for this process, 5 hours and 45 minutes. It's really interesting to see how the process works, for example, by conserving and then thawing a piece of meat. If you use the correct process, I mean, if you buy your food and then you use the blast chiller before freezing it or before consuming it, and then you put it in your freezing, and then you need to thaw it. While you are thawing it, for example, if we are talking about a piece of meat, you will see that no water composition is visible because you follow the right process. This machinery is also really good to be used together with the vacuum drawer and the steam oven, because it is a cycle that can be used for conservation and preparation of the food healthily. Another function on the hot function is what we call rising. Imagine that you are preparing a pizza or a bread or whatever it needs to be rised on. You can put inside the blast chiller, and you can use the blast chiller to start the rising process. You have 3 different selections, so if you want to rise the process immediately, or if you want to preserve it or delay. Both of them, the 3 of them, you have always to select the type of temperature you need to start the rising process, and then the time you need to realize your rising. And then it asks also you about the humidity composition of your thaw. And then it tells you how many time you need for reaching this type of process. As we can see, the other, the preserved and the delayed, can be ruled as the same as the immediate raising. With the blast chiller, you have also the possibility to have to prepare your food ready to serve. So it means that you can insert your food that you want to eat at the temperature you desire to reach. While selecting the ready to serve, you can decide if you want your food to be ready now or if you want to delay the preparation. For example, if you want to delay the preparation, you need to tell when you want your food to be hot and at which type of temperature you want to have your food. And then it starts and it says that less than 9 this evening your food will be ready to serve. Another hot function is what we call the slow cooking. Slow cooking is a really modern and interesting process. Let's say a philosophy to cook the product, to cook the food. Because instead of using the traditional oven, so bringing your food in less time but using high temperature, you can use the blast chiller, which works till a maximum of 75 degrees and cook slowly your food. As far as the slow cooking is concerned, as far as all the other function is concerned, you can decide if you want to start the slow cooking now or delayed. If you start, for example, the cooking now or delay is the same thing you have to select. You need to tell the machinery how many degrees you want to work with. For example, as I told you, we have a maximum of 75 degrees, and then you select the time you need to cook your food, and the cycle is starting.